Today, I want to talk about bad bosses. I've been working for over 20 years and I had all kinds of people that were my managers or bosses or owners of the companies. And I worked with some really great people and I also worked with some that I would say not so much. And today I want to talk about my experience working with not so good bosses and what I've done to deal with them. I'm not sure if I qualify to give general advice on this topic, so what I'll talk about my specific experiences, what problems I was having with my boss and what I did to deal with it. So the first situation, I had a person that was hired to be my boss, my manager. He would be in charge of the department I'm in, along with other people I was working with. And that person, I believe, did really good at the interview. The owners of the company loved him, and they put him in charge. And when he started, he turned out to be a bit of a jerk, but he was also not qualified technically. He did not know enough about industry. He did not have enough technical knowledge. And like I said, he just wasn't a nice person to work with. And what did I do in that case? I did something that people absolutely hate to hear it. When you tell this to somebody, they're gonna say, no, this is not good enough. And what it is, waiting, all right? I waited it out. So we're in lit support, right? This is the industry we're dealing with. And in lit support, you have to perform. You can't be like a passive guy that, you can just score a job and then get an office and then just sit there and pretend everything is good. You have to prove yourself, not maybe daily, but you have to contribute and you have to do things. And strategy of waiting was, well, two reasons. One, I didn't know what to do about it, but two is I knew that the owners of the company will catch on to that. They will realize that this guy shouldn't be in charge and they will take care of it. And that's exactly what happened. After maybe 1.5 to 2 months, they started seeing like, this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. He was lacking even basic understanding of e-discovery. And about 2 months or so, they got rid of this guy. So I was super happy that he was no longer my boss. Again, what did I do? I just waited it out and let his incompetence be displayed on its own to people who hired him, and they realized they made a bad choice and they got rid of him. And the next problem I had is this person started working. He was in charge of multiple departments. He was overseeing my department, some other one. And he started, and after a little bit, maybe a few weeks of the company, he kind of called me over and started criticizing me. It's like, Nikolai, I see we have some weekend coverage, but I think this was really bad how last weekend was handled. There should have been quicker response. There should have been this. There should have been that. And he started kind of getting on my case. What did I do? Well, I took the problems and I brought it to him. How did I do it? I said, all right, look, here is the situation we're dealing with. We have so many people. We have this kind of coverage. And with that situation, what we had last weekend is the best we can do. This is how we've been set up. Here's how we can fix it. Let me explain to you. And so I said, okay, we can hire a person. We can change person on this shift. They'll work more on weekends, but they don't work on weekday. We can do this, we can do that. Here's how much this is gonna cost. Here's how much that's gonna cost. How would you like to spend money? What would you like to do? And then the person was like, ooh. And they started scratching their head and like, they probably got in too deep, right? They didn't want to, so the couple of things they didn't want to do. Number one, they didn't want to spend money without knowing what they're spending on because they were also kind of new to the company, right? The second thing, they didn't want to make a decision because right now decision was made by me. So if there are any problems, you could always say, oh, well, that's how Nikolai set it up. If they were to listen to my options and pick one of those options, now it would have been their problem. It's the decision that they've made. So if they were to come back to me and say, oh, Nikolai, this wasn't handled properly, I said, that's what you picked. You said that you want to have a weekend coverage so-and-so, and that's what we did, right? So that was my strategy. I brought my problems to the person, and he's like, okay, and he just like pulled back and said, I don't want to deal with it. Yeah, I think you had it. Okay, don't worry about it. And he stopped criticizing me over weekend coverage and anything else like that. Another strategy that I've employed is ignoring. And not like just ignoring the person, pretend they're not there or not listening to them. But whenever a boss asks you to do something stupid, like you just go like, wait, what? Just ignore it. Pretend like you didn't hear it or forgot about it, and it'll probably go away. The way I think of it is, let's say a new boss joins the company, not they're like in charge and everything, and then they tell you to do something. Well, my sort of loyalty isn't necessarily to that person, it's to the company and to the team of people I work with. So to me, it's more important to do the right thing for my department and other departments that I work with. I don't necessarily care about that new boss who joined. Yeah, they have power, they can start hiring, firing, whatever. But what I'm gonna do is what makes sense to me and what makes sense to the company and to my coworkers and so on. And if the owner of the company ever says like, what, Nikolai, you disobeyed direct order, and I could say, look, well, let's talk about it, you know, does it make sense? And then I can defend myself saying, you know what, that made no sense, and I chose to think about it for extra long time, and there, it got forgotten or something like that. So anyway, not necessarily what I recommend you do, but one of the things I've done is whenever I was asked something ridiculous or stupid, I just ignored it and moved on with my day. And the last option that I generally don't recommend you do unless it is absolutely last resort is changing jobs. Yes, bad bosses can absolutely ruin everything to a point where you just don't want to work in that company anymore. And I had that happen to me. Basically what I've seen is it wasn't just the boss, that somebody who was in charge of me was a problem. It was just the overall trend in the company. And I felt like even if that person quits or that person changes, it's still not going to be a great place to work. And that's the time that I chose to resign. Again, I would recommend, if you like the company, if you like the place where you're working, and there is one person that makes it horrible, try not to quit because of that one person, but employ previous strategies that I mentioned. But if you see entire company on a downhill, then yes, that's your good indication to just say, you know what, let's just change jobs and go somewhere else. All right, so what is your take on this matter? Have you had a bad boss? Have you had to do something drastic to deal with it? Please let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube. I'll see you next time.